What if I told you that everything you've been waiting for, all your prayers, all your tears, can change in just 24 hours? That the moment you thought impossible is already coming your way? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover today could be the most important turning point of your life. A suddenly that comes directly from Allah. You know that moment when you wake up in the morning and the world feels heavy on your shoulders, as if every step you take is guided by someone watching you, but refusing to show you the way? You've prayed, you've begged, you've even screamed in the silence of your room, alone with your doubts. You've looked for signs in everything, in every smile, every word, every encounter. And yet, there seems to be no response, nothing that moves, nothing to show you that what you've been waiting for so long is about to happen. You think to yourself, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe Allah has forgotten me. But let me tell you something you haven't yet understood. The silence you feel. It's not forgetting. It's a divine language, subtle and powerful. It doesn't bang on the door. It doesn't scream in your mind. He's there, quiet, patient, like the light that enters a room through a tiny crack, invisible at first glance, but capable of illuminating everything when it becomes strong enough. This silence is a sacred time, a time your heart does not yet see, but which your soul subconsciously recognizes. There are miracles that only Allah can deliver, and some miracles require a particular state of your heart. Not a pure heart for others, not a heart that pretends to believe, but a pure heart for yourself, ready to receive that which surpasses human imagination. Because sometimes, before receiving, you must gently break yourself, empty yourself of everything that prevents you from containing this miracle. Perhaps you are in this phase today. Perhaps you feel stuck, exhausted by the trials, by the losses, by the disappointments that seem to follow one another. Perhaps you wonder if your faith is strong enough, if your hope is sufficient. But what you don't know is that every tear, every night spent praying without an answer, every pain you've endured has been preparatory. Every trial you've gone through has been like a divine sieve, filtering out what couldn't survive the light of your future miracle. And you stayed, despite everything. And that's exactly why you're ready to receive what's coming. Imagine for a moment, everything you thought was lost, everything you thought impossible could change in a single day. Not because you changed overnight, not because you suddenly found a solution, or because someone decided to help you. Number. Because Allah said, the time is now. And this now has nothing to do with your human calendar, your impatience, or the logic you try to apply to your problems. This now is divine. It is precise. It arrives exactly when your soul is ready, when your heart can hold it without breaking, when your silent faith has finally put down roots deep in the earth of your being. You might feel nothing at first. You might continue to get up in the morning with the same anxiety, the same uncertainty. But inside, something has begun to move. An invisible door has opened a crack. A soft, subtle light has pierced the darkness of your mind. You don't see it clearly yet, but you feel it. You feel it like a warmth that warms your weary heart. You feel it like a gentle breath that reminds you that you are never alone. Perhaps you've lost your bearings. Perhaps you believed everything was against you. But what you don't know is that every delay, every no, every apparent silence has been an invisible construction of your destiny. Because some blessings can't come until some pains disappear. Some victories cannot be sustained until your heart learns to remain strong despite failure. And some miracles are revealed only when your soul knows it can contain them without scattering. So if you feel this tension, this expectation,
gnawing at you, listen to it. It's not an absence. It's not forgetting. It's a sign. It's a whisper from Allah telling you that everything is in motion, even if you can't see it. That what you've been waiting for weeks, months, can happen faster than you imagine. That the turning point in your life may already be written, ready to appear on a day you weren't expecting. And that moment, when it comes, it will be your sudden moment. Everything you thought was lost, everything you had given up on, everything you thought impossible, will become possible because Allah has decided that your heart is finally ready, and just before that moment arrives, you will feel a strange peace, an inner calm, as if your soul knows that something monumental is about to happen, even if your mind doesn't yet understand it. You will feel that you are about to receive a gift beyond human comprehension. Imagine a door that has remained closed for what seems like an eternity. Perhaps it's the door to an opportunity, a dream, a hope you've cherished for years. Perhaps it's the door to a heart you've longed to achieve, a career, a project, an inner peace you've been relentlessly seeking. You knocked again and again. You asked, begged, implored silently, in the recesses of your soul where no one can see you. Your prayers echoed in an empty valley. Your efforts seemed to hit an invisible, insurmountable wall. And then one morning, that morning you no longer expected, that morning when your heart stopped hoping, that morning when you woke up tired from all the nights spent waiting, something changes. The key turns, slowly, silently, without warning, as if the door had been waiting for your soul to be ready to walk through it. You stand there, frozen, incredulous. The world hasn't changed around you, and yet everything you thought impossible is beginning to realign. You look for chance, for coincidence. You tell yourself it's destiny. But destiny, you shaped it. Not in the sense that you control everything, but in the sense that Allah shaped you for this precise moment. Every no you received, every door that closed, every loss that broke you, was the invisible preparation for this exact moment. Every rejection you endured was training so you wouldn't break, so you'd be able to face that miracle when it arrives. Every delay, every detour, every mistake, even the ones you regret, was necessary. Because Allah doesn't deliver treasure to a heart that isn't ready to receive it. And now visualize these years of waiting not as failures, but as a slow preparation of your soul. Every suffering, every moment of loneliness, every disappointment is actually a form of silent guidance. It's as if the Creator is saying, I am preparing your heart, shaping your mind, increasing your patience, and teaching you to recognize my blessings when I send them. Everything you've experienced was a forge, and your heart was the metal being slowly but surely molded by the fire of trial. And then that morning, everything changes. The key turns, the door opens, and it's not just a material or tangible opening. Number. It's the opening of your mind, your soul, your perception. You begin to see things from a perspective you'd never considered. You realize that the time when everything seemed to be fading away was actually the time when your miracle was being prepared, and this miracle is discreet. It doesn't arrive with much fanfare. It arrives with the precision of a divine breath exactly when it's meant to. Now imagine you're walking through that door. You don't yet know what awaits you on the other side. You just know that the world you thought was frozen has transformed. Stagnant energies are moving again. Relationships that seemed dead are being reborn. Projects that seem impossible are finding their way. And you feel as if a part of your heart you thought was long lost is coming back to life. What you thought was an ending was actually just a beginning in disguise. Every step you take through that door is filled with wonder, because you're beginning to understand that this suddenly is never random. This suddenly was always meant for you, even if you hadn't anticipated it. And what you realize now is that all the suffering, all the waiting, all the silence, everything you've endured wasn't for nothing. It was all preparation, an invisible orchestration, so that this moment could be complete, perfect, and fully received. And as you move forward, you begin to perceive the subtle language of the universe, the whisper of guidance. You see the signs in the little things, an unexpected encounter, an opportunity that arises, an answer that comes when you least expect it. Everything seems to align, as if someone is gently pulling the threads behind the veil of your existence. And you understand, finally, that every delay you've experienced, every endless wait, every moment of doubt had a specific purpose. To prepare you for that sudden moment when everything becomes clear, when everything becomes possible, when everything is finally within your reach. And this is just the beginning. Because when the key turns and the door opens, you realize that this moment isn't just a change in your life. It's an awakening of your soul, an invisible but profound transformation. And the question that arises then, in that calm after the storm, is this: are you ready to walk through this change, to embrace what you never thought possible, and to see your world rearranged exactly as Allah intended? You cried alone, in the silence of your room, in the darkness where no one could see your tears. You kept a smile for the world, for those around you, for those who looked at you and thought everything was fine. But inside, your heart bled. You cried silently to Allah, hoping He would hear what no one else could understand. You asked questions of your soul, questions you dare not whisper aloud. Why doesn't it change? Why am I still in this pain? Why doesn't my life align with what I ask for? And yet, it is this same pain that has shaped you. Every tear you shed, every shaky breath you took in the night, every sleepless night, every feeling of loneliness, all of it was not in vain. Allah never leaves your soul empty. Even in the deepest silence, even when you feel abandoned, something is brewing within you. An invisible purification, a transformation that only your heart can feel. This pain, though it seems cruel, has purified you, slowly, painfully, but with a precision that only the Creator can orchestrate. It has cleansed the cracks in your heart, those that could have caused you to fall into arrogance, haste, or incomprehension. It has taught you to receive, and not with impatience or haste, but with humility. It has taught you to welcome guidance with an open heart, without pride, without resistance. Because the process is always the same. When Allah wants to elevate a soul, He begins by humiliating it in the face of its powerlessness. Not to break you, not to punish you, but to free you. To help you understand that you never needed to control life, but to let go completely. To lay every burden, every expectation, every fear at His feet. Perhaps you still resist. Perhaps you continue to think you have to do everything on your own. Perhaps you tell yourself that if you let go, everything will collapse. But the truth is that freedom, true freedom, comes in that precise moment when you stop fighting against what you cannot control. And it is exactly at that moment that the miracle can enter. Imagine your heart as a fragile vase, cracked by trials, by pain, by loneliness. You have tried to fill it with your own efforts, with your human will, with your strategies to change your life. And yet, nothing holds. Water seeps out through the cracks. Everything you try to create on your own collapses. But when Allah enters, when the divine breath touches your soul, that vessel fills completely. Not because you forced anything, but because He waited until you were ready to receive. Because He knows exactly when your heart can contain the miracle without breaking, without splashing or overflowing. You can feel that moment approaching. You feel it in the air you breathe, in the sudden lightness after weeks of oppression, in that inner thrill you can't explain, that feeling that something great, something beyond anything you've ever imagined, is forming. And that feeling, it's not a coincidence. It's the silent whisper of Allah, reminding you that you have never been forgotten, even when your world seemed to be crumbling around you. That pain, that loneliness, that sense that nothing changes. All of this was preparation. The preparation to understand what it means to receive without arrogance, to welcome change without fear, to recognize the beauty of a miracle when it suddenly manifests. Because a miracle never comes to a heart that hasn't been shaped by patience, resilience, and humility. And now you are here. You may not see it yet, but your heart is ready. Ready to feel that sudden, that can transform your entire life in an instant. Ready to understand that all your trials, all your tears, all your lonely nights, everything you thought was lost or useless, was only the invisible preparation for this moment. So when that miracle happens, you won't take it for granted. You will recognize it. You will feel it with every fiber of your being, because your heart has been purified to receive it. And when you take this step, when you experience this transformation, you will finally understand that every humiliation, every pain, every trial has been an act of mercy in disguise, a silent voice from the one who knows your needs even before you articulate them. And it is there, in this precise moment, just before everything changes, that you realize that waiting was never a punishment, that pain was never forgetting, and that your sudden arrival is approaching. What if your failure isn't what you think it is? What if what you see as closed doors, shattered dreams, lost relationships, is actually a silent signal that Allah is preparing something greater for you? What if this delay, this silence, this loneliness isn't punishment, but blessings in disguise? Look around you. How many times have you thought it was all over? That nothing could ever change? That your life would remain trapped in the same pain, the same disappointments? And yet, here, now, you're still standing, still here. Breathe. The simple fact is a sign that something is in motion, that the miracle you're waiting for is not a coincidence, but a divine orchestration. What if your waiting is Allah's way of bringing you closer? Have you ever thought about how much time you've spent begging, praying, seeking guidance? Every night you cried in silence. Every morning you refused to give up. It was as if your heart were training itself to recognize the hand of Allah, as if your soul were gently rising to be ready to welcome what was coming, even if your mind didn't yet understand it. What if your pain wasn't a punishment but a preparation? Imagine for a moment that everything you're going through, all the sleepless nights, all the tears shed, all the humiliations endured, is exactly what your soul needed to become capable of receiving the miracle you're waiting for. How many times have you felt that burning deep in your heart, that feeling that everything was falling apart and you thought this was the end? And yet, it was the beginning of something you could never have received if you hadn't been shaped by this pain. You say you want a miracle in 24 hours? So ask yourself this question: is your faith ready? Not ready for quick success, not ready for an obvious reward, but ready to stand in the void, in the silence, in the incomprehension, ready to continue even when nothing seems to be moving? Because that's where the true miracle begins, It doesn't just lie in what you see, in what you touch, in what you achieve. It lies in what you become while you wait. As you struggle with your doubts, as you fight your fears, as you refuse to break, your soul grows. It learns patience. It learns humility. It learns to recognize the breath of Allah even when it is silent. It learns to wait with certainty, without constantly knocking on the door of impatience. And it is precisely this inner transformation that precedes the outer miracle. So look even deeper. What if everything you thought was loss, mistakes, bad choices, was actually a thread stretched out by Allah to guide you to your suddenly moment? What if what you've experienced so far wasn't chaos, but the most perfect preparation? What if what you fear most, that moment when you think everything is falling apart, was exactly what you needed for everything to rebuild better, stronger, purer? Look at yourself now. Your heart is still beating. Your breath continues. Your spirit is still there, even tired, even wounded, even lost at times. And it is that heart, that mind, that soul, that the miracle will choose. Not a perfect version of you, not a version without scars, but you, exactly as you are, with your fears, your pain, your doubts. So ask yourself this question again. Are you ready to be transformed while you wait? Are you ready to see the light shine through all the cracks in your life? Are you ready to recognize that the miracle doesn't just happen to solve your problems, but to reveal the strength, patience, and faith that were already within you? Because what you're waiting for isn't just a change in your material life. It's not just a sudden event that will make your worries disappear. It's an inner transformation that illuminates your heart, preparing you to receive peace, guidance, and blessings you could never imagine. And as you look out at your world, as you listen to that voice that speaks silently to you, you realize that everything is aligned, that this moment, this suddenly, is approaching. And the more patiently you wait, the more your soul becomes ready to receive it. And that's when you finally understand that sometimes the miracle isn't what falls from the sky. It is what you become as you walk in the shadows, in the waiting, in the pain, in the silence. And what you are becoming prepares your heart to welcome what you never thought possible. The sudden arrival of Allah. It doesn't make a noise. It doesn't knock impatiently. It doesn't announce itself with a flourish or fanfare. Number. It slips gently into the lives of those who know how to wait, like light filtering through an imperceptible crack in a dark wall. You might not see it at first, but you feel it. You sense it. Like a warm breath on your face when you thought you were lost in the cold. Like a subtle caress that awakens a sleeping heart. It comes in the most unexpected moments. In that word spoken to you almost by chance. In that glance that touches you more deeply than you could have imagined. In that encounter that disrupts the course of your thoughts. It comes in that little shiver, that inexplicable sensation that runs through your being, and you realize that something greater is taking shape. Something your human mind cannot yet grasp, but which your soul instantly recognizes. Imagine for a moment. Life seemed still. You walked down empty corridors, down lightless paths, wondering if your prayers had been heard. And then, suddenly, a breath, a light, a whisper. And you understand that all that time, all that silence, all that apparent emptiness wasn't empty at all. It was the invisible preparation, the silent weaving of a promise that heaven was keeping for you. The suddenly is never a coincidence. Never a coincidence. It's not something that just happens to fall into your lap. It's a perfect orchestration, meticulously placed by the one who knows your heart better than you know yourself. A silent promise, woven in time and space, that appears at the exact moment your soul is ready to receive it. And that moment doesn't just change your life. It transforms the way you see everything, your trials, your losses, your silent prayers, your lonely nights. Everything takes on a meaning you could never have imagined. You might feel it in the stillness of a quiet morning, when the world around you continues soundlessly, but something inside you lights up, as if a veil were lifted from your heart and you could finally see the clarity behind the darkness you had carried for so long. And it's not just an intellectual or mental illumination. It's a deep resonance in your soul, a reminder that what you've waited for, what you've hoped for, what you've begged for, was heard from the first moment you spoke into the silence. Imagine a night sky. You're walking alone, surrounded by darkness, thinking the stars have forgotten you. And then, a light pierces the horizon. No fireworks, no blinding glare, just a soft, persistent light, slowly expanding, illuminating the dark corners you thought were untouchable. This light is the suddenly. This light is Allah's silent promise. And this light doesn't come to erase your wounds immediately, but to reveal them in a new light so that you can see how each fracture, each scar contributed to your path to this miracle. The suddenly isn't measured in seconds or hours. It's measured in sensitivity. It's measured by your inner openness. It's measured by your ability to recognize the divine presence in what seemed mundane, in what seemed lost, in what seemed insignificant. It's in that silence, in that breath, in that thrill, that you understand that the world is never left to chance, that nothing in your life is without direction, that everything, even the things you thought were negative, was placed with a purpose. And that's when you realize you have never been alone, even in the darkest night, even in the deepest solitude, even when you thought your prayers had fallen on deaf ears. Allah was working silently, with infinite precision. He was waiting for the exact moment when your heart, tired but ready, could receive what surpasses human imagination. That moment when a word, a gesture, an encounter, an intuition could turn your entire world upside down. Do you feel that peace, that inner calm that arrives for no apparent reason? It's a sign that your moment is approaching. You feel that subtle breath, the gentle warmth that flows through your soul. And you understand that it wasn't you who found the light. It was the light that found you, exactly when you were ready. And that's where you stand, in that silence, in that new clarity, ready to cross the line between what you thought was impossible and what suddenly becomes real. Ready to recognize that every trial, every expectation, every pain had a specific role in your journey. Ready to welcome what was destined from the beginning, even if your mind never anticipated it.
You thought your life was stagnating, that each day was like the previous one, that your prayers were lost in the void, that the world went on without ever granting you a sign. And yet, all this time, Allah was preparing your sudden arrival. Yes, your miracle. The one you waited for with wavering faith, the one you hoped for in silence,
The one you perhaps believed was too late. Everything was in motion, even when you couldn't see it, even when you thought nothing was changing, even when you thought you had reached the end of your path. Every minute you lived was shaping your heart, your mind, and your soul for this precise moment. You thought you were wasting your time, but that time was never wasted. Every trial, every delay, every night of anguish, every doubt you harbored, everything was invisible training. Allah was training you to hold on to your miracle without breaking it. He taught you to wait without becoming discouraged, to hope even when the sky seemed silent, to keep your heart open even when everything around you seemed closed. And now, what you learned in the heat of your trials is beginning to pay off. Everything you've endured is transformed into strength, resilience, the ability to receive what is meant only for you. It's not tomorrow. It's not in a week, a month, or a year. It's not something distant or uncertain. This miracle is waiting for your heart. It's waiting for you to trust it here and now, even in the midst of doubt, even in the midst of fatigue, even in the midst of confusion. The moment when you can finally say, I trust him, even here, even now, even when I don't understand. That's when the transformation begins. And in that very moment, something subtle but powerful begins to form. You may not see it yet, but it's there. Like a seed buried deep underground, invisible to the naked eye. Like a light on the horizon that you only notice when you look up after walking for a long time in the dark. This change doesn't always manifest itself as a spectacular, immediately observable event. It begins first in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. It gently expands, silently strengthens, and then, suddenly, it becomes visible in every aspect of your life. Imagine for a moment that everything you thought impossible becomes possible, that every closed door opens before you with disconcerting ease, that every no you've heard transforms into a luminous, perfect yes at exactly the right moment, that all the pieces of your past, which seemed scattered and meaningless, reassemble to form the exact picture your soul has always dreamed of seeing. And this is not the result of luck or chance. It is the manifestation of Allah's perfect plan. It is silent proof that your waiting, your perseverance, and your faith have not been in vain. You can feel this energy beginning to vibrate within you, a force that lifts you up, a breath that pushes you forward, a light that illuminates the path you thought was lost. It is the signal that your miracle is about to be revealed. And this force is invisible to the eyes of the world, but perceptible to those who listen with their hearts. It does not come from you. It does not come from your efforts alone. It comes from the one who shaped your destiny, who knows the smallest detail of your existence, who knows exactly when and how to deliver what is meant for you. Every decision you have made, every act of patience you have performed, every time you have chosen faith over fear, all of this has been a bridge that has brought you to this moment. And now, that bridge is strong. Your soul is ready, your heart is open, your mind is aligned. The miracle now awaits only your conscious acceptance, your sincere faith, and your silent courage to take that final step toward the manifestation of what you have long hoped for. Look around you. Feel the air. Listen to the breath of life. Even in ordinary moments, transformation is woven. Encounters, words, events, signs, all converge, orchestrated by an invisible but perfect hand to lead you to your moment. And if you choose to look with faith rather than doubt, you will see this miracle arise in the most unexpected, gentle, and precise ways. Because Allah has already said, this is your moment. There is no mistake. There is no delay. There is no chance. Every beat of your heart, every breath you take, every moment you live brings you closer to that exact point where the suddenly will reveal itself. And when that happens, you'll have no doubt that everything you've been through, everything you've waited for, all the patience you've exercised, was worth every second. You can almost feel it. Change is already forming. Invisible, silent, but certain. Like the wind gently bending branches before a storm of blessings arrives. Like sunlight piercing a cloudy sky to illuminate a barren land. And that moment, it's waiting for you, ready to bloom, ready to transform everything you thought was still, everything you thought was frozen, everything you thought was lost. So listen to your heart, feel your breath, observe every sign, because your miracle is approaching, exactly as Allah intended. Now that you understand that your miracle can happen at any moment, the question is simple. Are you ready to receive it? Stay alert, keep your heart open, and let your faith guide you. If this video touched you, share it with someone who needs to believe that change is possible. And never forget, your suddenly moment is already planned.